Hi, what's up, DS3TV? We are back for another video. This one is Are Horns OP? And this is by TierZoo. This is their newest video. So yeah, let's get into it and subscribe to the channel. Want to get to 2,000 subscribers by my birthday next year, September 13th. And yeah, also you can recommend me videos in the comment section down below. Got some new videos coming out for you guys. Got some kind of interesting videos because they're new and I've never done anything like them, so hopefully you guys like them. And yeah, and also check me out on Twitch because I do have a Twitch. Yeah, so let's get into it and play. Also, I forgot to say Twitch link is going to be in the bio. Diana Goddess, and yeah.
Players have a wide selection of equipment to choose from when speccing their character. Teeth, claws, stingers, spikes, each weapon has distinct advantages and disadvantages in combat. Some, like teeth, are better at dealing damage but offer less range and require the user take a significant risk committing to an attack attempt. Claws are a good middle ground, offering solid damage but allowing the user to keep their vitals at least a little bit further away from counterattack range. On the other end of the spectrum is what I'd like to discuss in today's video, horns and antlers. This video was sponsored by Audible. Excluding things like projectiles, skull-based weapons.
I feel like horns can be useful, like rams. They use their horns perfectly. Like, literally, they probably use it better than anybody else. Because antlers are kind of like, you can't really use them. They get heavy. Like, if you lose one, you could break your neck because it could be just too heavy on one side. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know about antlers. I feel like those are kind of overplayed in this meta.
Have by far the furthest reach in the game. This makes them excellent defensive weapons, as it gives players a large threat range that an approaching player needs to find a way to get through in order to connect with their own attack. Against a player with powerful horns or large antlers, messing up your approach and getting counterattacked can spell disaster, since these—
Oh my gosh. Just got rammed up the up the booty, up the butt. I don't know why.
These attacks can deal devastating damage when they connect. However, actually connecting with a strike isn't always easy for players who spec into this trait. Since skull projections can be quite heavy and cumbersome, swinging them can be quite slow and risky in and of itself, because if the attack is dodged by an aggressive opponent, you might be left wide open to getting rushed down and taking a ton of damage. So today I'd like to delve deeper into the advantages and disadvantages that come with equipping skull weapons to your character, and discuss some examples of good and bad usage of this perk. The two main types of skull weapons are horns and antler.
It like he didn't even want to do it, so he was like, oh, like, I'm supposed to hit you? I don't know. You have horns too. You have horns out of antlers. I don't know what to do here.
Horns are permanent and usually equipable to both sexes, whereas antlers are grown and shed each year, and usually a perk exclusive to male characters. Players in the Servid faction have exclusive—
See, yeah, that's my issue with like the antlers. Cause I'm like, yeah, they shed, so you can't even use them. Like most of us, like you can't even use them at some points of the year. I feel like horns would be the better like option.
access to antlers, while horns can be equipped to a wide variety of character types and have the major advantage of being permanent. Large antlers are useful for resource competition against other players, and occasionally to deter predators, but really their primary function is tied to the reproduction questline. Part of the Servid questline is that in order to complete the mating quest, male characters need to become party leader, and in order to achieve the rank of party leader, a Servid must duel against other male Servid characters and defeat them. Antlers allow these players to duel in a way that tests their strength while still remaining mostly non-lethal, as these players don't actually want to team kill their own party members. As far as combat abilities go, antlers probably aren't the most optimal choice. They weigh the user down quite a bit.
Oh my god, he got into a very bad predicament with the tree branch here.
Make it more difficult to move through dense forest, and the enormous amount of energy it takes to shed and regrow them on a regular basis makes them a handicap rather than a perk. They don't have many secondary uses either. They can be used to dig with, but there's no upside to using antlers to dig rather than your feet. In short, antlers are a flex, the kind players can really only get away with when they're already doing quite well and have resources to spare. And even then, antler users tend to ditch the trait as soon as the window to complete the mating quest line closes for the year. Horns, on the other hand, can be used to great effect against a wider variety of opponents. Large horns can deal devastating piercing damage and can also be used to inflict knockback, destabilizing even the most aggressive players and
Can we talk about how that lion just flew and the other one was just like, I don't know what's going on here. I can't understand. I'm just here watching. I don't know what's going on here. Like, the other lion is just not trying to get into it. I am shocked. Let's see if we can go back 5 seconds to when it actually happened.
can also be used to inflict knockback, destabilizing even the most aggressive
Oh my
players.
gosh. This is a great picture of all of them. I'm lying like, I'm not going back. I'm not going back. You better get up, because I'm not going back. And the other one that's in the back is just sitting down like, I'm not in this. Like, everything about this picture is a masterpiece.
And creating an opening for a deadly strike to connect. However, they're really only useful in 1v1 combat, since a group of attackers...
And I know it's a frame, but I'm going to say picture because I paused it at that moment and that was a picture to me.
can easily overwhelm a horn user from multiple directions at once, and prevent them from connecting a strike. So it's important to balance your character with other traits like bulk or speed to help compensate for this weakness. Skull weapons were added to the game's equipment roster during the late Tetrapod expansion, possibly serving to facilitate party member recognition and later being co-opted for defensive purposes. While data miners are unsure whether early horn users like the Triceratops build had horn attacks as an integral part of their combat movesets, players in the current meta employ a wide variety of strategies to get the most out of their equipment. Tank builds like the Rhinoceros tend to use horns primarily for the knockback effect in 1v1 matchups, though they're capable of inflicting lethal piercing damage as well. More agile builds like the Wildebeest and Cape Buffalo coordinate team defenses against predators that employ both horn and kick attacks, and have a high critical hit ratio due to the sharpness of their horns. Some animals with skull weapons favor other types of attacks, using their long legs as the primary line of defense against predators, and mostly use their skull mods to fight against others of the same build type. As powerful and impressive as horns are, their overall contribution to the viability of a character is less than you might expect, especially in terms of how vital they are to a player's game plan for dealing with...
He just hit him and then just ran. What was that? Just sucker punched him and just dipped after?
With predator attacks. Most horn users spend a ton of evolution points on their base speed stat to avoid confrontation with more powerful players in the first place, meaning that heavy skull equipment actually impedes this strategy rather than synergizing with it. Horn attacks tend to be...
How did you fall? Wait, I gotta see that.
...plan for dealing with predator attacks. Most horn users spend a ton of evolution points on their base speed stat to avoid confrontation with more powerful players in the first place, meaning that heavy skull equipment actually impedes this strategy rather than synergizing with it. Horn attacks tend...
Okay, I understand how he fell now.
...to be employed as a last resort with varying degrees of success, since their base accuracy is so low. Horns lose their value in combat if the player's head is immobilized. So to use this perk effectively, the build should have a high base stamina and access to a variety of other attacks that can counter a grappling opponent. Since most animals with horns and antlers defend themselves more effectively with their feet, there are plenty of examples of similar builds like zebras and camels that are equally viable without horns equipped at all. However, in builds like rhinos that spec into bulk instead of speed, horns are fundamental to their combat strategy and viability suffers significantly if their horns are damaged. When equipping your character, it's important to consider both your own character's stats and the types of attackers you're likely to encounter before you decide to spec into an expensive skull weapon. For example, if the primary threat in your server is a build from the Panthera faction, horns might not be the most optimal choice, since a big cat's primary objective is to land a critical strike on the opponent's neck, so you may be better off investing in more forceful kicks that can be used while keeping your head out of reach. But if the meta is more centralized around canine builds, Front-facing weaponry may be the better option, since canines tend to target their prey's rear and get kills via bleed damage. The most viable horn users are well-rounded with respect to speed, bulk, and overall combat movesets, but most importantly, they spec their characters to be best equipped to counter the most dangerous threats in the current meta. Now, since the best insight into the metagame can be found in books, gaining the knowledge necessary to be properly equipped can be tough, especially if your character...
That was pretty interesting. Yeah, I just never. I guess I've never seen like a wildebeest like actually do anything like that like actually run at something like that. Like usually they just kind of are just like kind of sitting ducks for the lions. But yeah, I can guess like with dogs, yeah, that makes sense with the like African wild dogs and stuff. Yeah.
Character's eyesight or concentration stats aren't the best. But the good news is, in an effort to make eyesight a less overpowered ability, the devs have started introducing more benefits to players that spec into auditory abilities, one of which is the advent of the audiobook. Audiobooks are an amazing way to optimize your efficiency, allowing you to gain XP in another skill while also increasing your knowledge stat passively. Where can you get access to these overpowered gains? The answer is Audible.
Okay, so the end is. This is an amazing last few seconds. Alright. Alright, so I guess that's it. But yeah, so talk to you guys in the next video. I want to get to 2,000 subscribers by my birthday next year, September 13th. 2000, and yeah, let's keep subscribing to the channel. Thank you guys for all the support that you've been giving me, and also follow my Twitch channel because I do play a lot of different games on there, and yeah, so doing pretty good over there. We're playing Blair Witch over there right now, probably about the time this video goes up, and yeah, so talk to you guys in the next video, and yeah, peace.